This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 676, originally aired November 19th, 2025. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Now, as I sit here in my apartment, I'm in the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn, which is one of the really great food neighborhoods of the world. And what I mean by that is, in my neighborhood, you can find almost any type of cuisine you can think of. Within walking distance from my apartment, there are 6 Michelin-starred restaurants that range from super high-end seafood to a taco place and a pizza place that are seen as world-class. And because that's the case, people like to come to my neighborhood, but they become overwhelmed by choice. Someone comes and visits me, like my brother who is arriving tomorrow, and like, hey, what would you like for dinner? And you can just see this blank stare as they're like, I don't want to make the wrong choice. I don't know what to do because there's so many options. But if I say, would you like to go get ramen tonight? Because there's a really awesome ramen place a couple blocks from here. You will see them immediately be able to make a decision. Even if they don't want ramen, they'll go, no, but what I want instead is. And there's this really interesting thing that happens inside of our mind as we're making decisions, as we're trying to figure things out. That when we are faced with blankness, with no options other than all of the options, it's really hard for us to make a choice. The same is true if I am going to decide what color to paint my apartment, or what's an article that I want to write, or what's a podcast that I want to record. Staring at a blank screen, staring at a blank canvas, it makes it really hard for us to make a choice. But the moment we have a point of contrast where I'm comparing it to something, all of a sudden I'm in a circumstance where I'm able to go, I don't want that, but I do want this. That's the reason why when I'm working with clients, I'm throwing out, well, you might feel this and you might feel this. I'm not trying to read their minds or trying to read their soul, but instead what I'm doing is I'm creating a place for them to jump off from so they can create some comparison. So you might be wondering, why am I talking about eating dinner in my neighborhood when we're talking about tapping? And this is the reason why. Recently, I was in a circumstance where I knew I needed to do some tapping. That there was this kind of just gross emotional feeling that was heavy inside of my chest. And I am someone who thinks about emotion and thinks about tapping every day of my life, personally and professionally. And I just couldn't quite put my finger on what I was feeling. And so what I did was I went to one of my favorite resources, and that is the Feelings and Needs Inventory that was created by the Center for Nonviolent Communication. And what this basically is this is a thesaurus of all of the types of emotions we can feel when our needs are being met and when our needs are not being met. And so what I did is I went to the second page of that resource, which is absolutely free. And if you look down in the show notes, you can see a link that you can click on. You can download this from them, absolutely free. And so I went to the Feelings When Your Needs Are Not Satisfied page. Now, when you look at this particular document, as you can see, what it is that like in each of the columns, you'll see something where all of the letters are in capitalization. And then underneath that, there's a bunch of them that are in lowercase. And so these are basically headers that tell you this is the primary emotion, and underneath it are lots and lots of examples of the secondary emotions or the nuances of that. Because as we age, we move from the 8 crayon box of emotion to the 128 crayon box of emotion, that there's so much subtlety and nuance. And so what I like to do when I'm in a circumstance where there is this sense inside of me that I'm not exactly sure what it is, what I do is I just start to read through the list and I start to see what pops out at me. And in this particular circumstance, what I saw was uneasy. That was the emotion that was hanging with me as I was sitting there. And so what I do is once I have that particular emotion, I do 4 rounds of tapping based on that emotion to create some clarity. And it's really, really simple. Round number 1 is I feel. So in this case is I feel uneasy. And it's just a round of tapping. I feel uneasy. 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 And as I'm doing that, I'm just making sure I'm really paying attention to the words and just tuning in, and I'm not doing it in a rote way. So that's round 1. Round 2 is I add the word aloud. So I am allowed to feel uneasy. I am allowed to feel uneasy. I am allowed to feel uneasy. I'm 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 allowed to feel uneasy. Now, even as I'm doing that right now, I can just feel release. I can feel more space showing up. Now, the third round of tapping, what we're going to do is we're going to add the word because, but we're going to leave it open-ended. So it just looks like this. I feel uneasy because. 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 And as I'm doing this, I can feel the stirring inside of there. I feel uneasy because. I feel uneasy because. And again, I'm not trying to do anything with this. I feel uneasy because. Now that I've been setting the table in this particular way, I feel the emotion. I'm allowed to feel the emotion. I feel the emotion because the fourth round of tapping is we're just going to start completing the sentence. I feel uneasy because the future is unpredictable. I feel uneasy because this really needs to work out. I feel uneasy because I'm worried that this is going to go really badly. I feel uneasy because it's uncertain. And so then what I do is I just tap through I feel uneasy because, completing the sentences, and all of a sudden there's this relief that comes. So it's a really simple process. When we don't know where to start, pull up the list, just read through it, see what emotion jumps out at you. 4 rounds of tapping. Round number 1, I feel, state the emotion. Round number 2, I'm allowed to feel, state the emotion. Round number 3, I feel, state the emotion, because. And round number 4, I feel, state the emotion because, and just start completing that sentence. And just do that last round until you run out of steam. Then tune back in. And you're going to be in a couple of places. One is you're going to be great and you're ready to continue with your day. Number 2 is because you've done this tapping, all of a sudden you're going to have so much more clarity about what's in front of you and what you're facing. Or number 3, look back at the list, choose another emotion and tap through it in that particular way. And so what this does is this gives you the ability to not have to know every single thing that you need to say. You have this really simple formula with those 4 steps, and you're letting the list give you the emotion to tap on. If you do this, you're going to start. And what's most important when we sit down to tap is we start and we get some momentum. Because once you started, once you have some momentum, you're going to tap and you're going to tap and you're going to tap. But the hardest moment is that moment of inertia at the beginning. Things at rest stay at rest. Tuning in and tapping requires me from going in a stagnant place into an emotionally engaged place. And so using a little formula like this will make it super, super easy. So give that a try. Let me know what emotion you chose. Let me know what works out for you. Let me know how it transforms inside of you and the surprising things that come up with that. So it's really, really super easy. Give that a go. Now, one of the things that we do at the end of every single episode of the podcast is we go back into the archives. We're in a little random number generator. I got this idea from Alex Schmidt from Secretly Incredibly Fascinating, which is a very, very fun podcast. And basically, before I hit record, I went in and I did a little random number generator. And today it gave us number 226, which is a conversation that I had with my friend Dr. Deborah Miller on how to choose a different emotional response, which I think goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about here. Here we're naming the emotion. We're getting some clarity. Next, we go and add it. If you'd like to check that out, all you need to do is go to tappingqanda.com/226, tappingqanda.com/226, and it'll take you to that past episode, and it'll be a great way to continue what we're doing here. If you know someone in your life who could use a little framework like we shared right here, we always joke about the fact that our marketing budget is your word of mouth. If you know someone who could really use and really appreciate something like this, please be our ambassador, pass it along. Don't spam your inbox, but you might know one or two people who this would be really, really valuable for. As you look at the screen right now, you will see there is the entire archive of the Tapping Q&A podcast. Click on that, dive in, check out another episode, and I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again real soon. Bye-bye.